Out here, early morning, fairly heavily overcast, although it's easing up a bit now. It's a lot lighter now than when I first got here with the Icon A5 again. I'm very dubious. I took the wheels off, which I'm not sure that it was a good idea. Maybe I should just put them back on again. I took the wheels off and I just wanted to see if there was any possibility I could get it to take off the grass with floats, but I don't know. It doesn't look like the world's best prospect. I've got the I'm very nervous about this because it crashed yesterday and I still don't know why. I've got the EFC 721 on it again, and that's now recording. I don't know. I mean, I had a devil of a time getting it to take off the grass with wheels, so why it would take off, I don't know. I believe some people have managed to get them to take off grass with the floats. I've put the covers on and everything as you're supposed to do. There's covers that cover where the wheels go, and the front one has a little O-ring for the hole, so to try and stop water getting up into the hole where the axle for the front wheel, not the axle really, what do you call it? The pivot arm for the thing that the front wheel's mounted on that goes up for a control arm, or a rudder control arm to mount on. See, I mean, it won't, well, I guess it will sort of sit flat.
Safe mode.
I think we'll put it in safe mode, because safe mode doesn't stop your up elevator and it gives you a bit of extra self-leveling as you take off, and I'm struggling with this thing as it is. I'm not too optimistic this is going to do anything, really. No, certainly isn't if I don't take the rudder off. Mixing my thoughts up here, the throttle cut is what I mean. Yeah. Well, it struggles, but it gets there if you just keep powering through it. If you just keep powering through it, eventually levels itself off and you can take off. Not elegant. Definitely not elegant, but if you just keep powering through, it goes off. I'm very nervous with this, though, because yesterday, twice, it just seemed to cut off completely. It just seemed to go into a spin for no good reason. It did it once when I was in non-stabilized mode. I put it back in stabilized mode, and then it just did it again and was too low to the ground, went into the ground that time. And I don't know why. Anyway, we'll put it in non-stabilized mode. I mean, maybe it was a stall, but if that was a stall, it was a very nasty stall. Not this, what I'm talking about when it crashed yesterday, because it didn't give me any chance. It just went into a spin and I couldn't do anything about it. And the thing is, I mean, well, I was sort of thinking about coming into land, so I suppose I might have. I suppose I had somewhat lessened my throttle, and I am flying the thing with very high throttle most of the time, I must say. Much more so than most planes, because it just seems to need it. It's rather sluggish. But if that's the stall on it, that's brutal, because it wasn't. You can see the video from yesterday. It just went down. It just went. It dropped right into a spin without any hesitation, just like a total control loss.
5 minutes.
If anything, it's maybe a teeny bit less sluggish now, well, because it doesn't have the wheels on, which, presumably reduces drag a little bit. It is a bit, you seem to be using a lot of throttle to keep the thing moving. Well, I've got to say, I'm very nervous with this now. Well, I mean, when planes do that to you, you're naturally going to be very nervous. But I did the first flight I flew yesterday without a camera, and that, it was fine. Engine's making a bit of a strange noise there as well. Don't think it's
Time
out.
remaining 4 minutes.
I checked the balance again. I don't think it's out of balance. Oh, you know what it might be? You know that noise? It may have been the wind in the tape that's holding the camera on. Because it sounded like a fluttery sort of noise. That's not, we don't want the camera coming loose, but I think, yeah, so like I said, rather lose the camera than lose the plane. But I don't want to lose either. Camera was fine yesterday. I mean, well, the plane didn't, it crashed, but I guess I did get a little bit of control. I managed to pull the nose up, so it didn't go in that hard. I was trying to pull it out of the spin. And I guess it still had some response, at least before it went into the ground I got some response, because I think I did manage to pull the nose up a bit. So it broke the tip off one wing and kind of reversed the front wheel. It popped the front wheel round
Time remaining 3 minutes.
to the other side of the... I wish they'd put the flaps on this. This is one guy where I do wish they'd put the flaps on. I think they would have helped. And they did decide to put flaps on the real icon, as I was saying, although they were doubtful whether they needed to, but they decided to. So, I mean, I guess I'm thinking I'm going to come in reasonably hot this time, deliberately, because, I don't trust the thing not to stall.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
I mean, that was hot, but, I just, because I really don't trust it not to stall, I figure coming in hot is your safest, option. And I mean, also, when you've got plenty of runway like that, and it's on the floats, I mean, coming in hot, there's no great downside to it, really. And that was in non-stabilized mode again. I thought it was probably better off in non-stabilized mode, really. Okay, so we'll turn, if I can get my finger in here, we'll turn the camera off. Yes, we'll turn, that's the flight recording camera. Well, so I flew it all with the floats on. I mean, on balance, I think I'd have to say I prefer flying it with the floats off the grass to flying it with the wheels. I mean, it did fly with the wheels, but I had a devil of a time getting up enough speed to take off. Mind you, not that it took off that easily this time. I mean, again, the fact that you need a massive run to take off, is another indication that maybe you need to come in hot, because seems to need a fair amount of speed to fly. But if that was, as I say, if what happened yesterday was just the stall on this thing, it was brutal, because it was not going that slowly, and it just dropped a wing and went into a spin. It didn't drop a wing and give you any warning first. It just dropped right into a hard spin straight towards the ground. Oh well. Time-wise, that was only a 5-minute flight. Because I wanted to come in for the landing with lots of time to go around for another landing if I didn't like my approach, because it was a bit of a weird approach there. I was coming in pretty fast. And I started out reasonably high, so... I figured I'll land if it works out, but I wanted the option of going around and trying again, so I left myself plenty of time. But as it turned out, I landed the first time, so I only used just over 5 minutes, and I know the battery's good for at least 7, probably 8 or more. There you go, Icon A5 off floats off the grass. Just wondering how that would work out off water. Probably not that dissimilar. If you've got to come in that hot though, you've got to make sure you've got room on the water. Anyway, we'll see. I may get a chance to fly him off water in a week or two, although I want to fly him off the grass a few more times first, because I'm still kind of nervous. I guess I should try that stall deliberately at an altitude, but I mean, if that's the stall, I'm nervous about trying even at, well, I guess at altitude you should be able to recover, but it was pretty nasty if that was the stall.